Good evening and welcome to SAT TV Channel 9 Evening News. I am your presenter, Larry LaRock. Thank you for joining us. Among the major developments, family narrowly escapes death after house falls over. New medical school planned for Turks and Caicos. Ethiopian Prime Minister Zinwi has died. And in sports, 7 new players including Dominica's 15-man squad to participate in the 2012 Invitational Cricket Festival. Details of these and other stories after the break.
Support local, support SAT Telecoms Ltd, the people's choice. Join hands with SAT and come in and sign up for your digital internet connection today. The fastest broadband digital internet. Why settle for imitation when you can get a better choice? Choose from our 5 packages. We've got the warm-up package going at 256 kilobytes for $28.75. We've got the Breezy package at 1.5 megabytes going at $57.50. We've got the Maverick package at 3 megabytes going at $69. We've got the Jet Stream package at 4 megabytes going at $126.50. And we've got the Warp Drive package at 6 megabytes going at $241.50. So come in today and join in hands with the family of SAT Telecoms Ltd and sign up for your fastest digital broadband internet service today.
Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. The Dominica State College DSC Department of Continuing Education held its International Taxation course closing ceremony on Friday, August 17th. Dean Mr. Merrill Matthews says that this is a time to celebrate success, achievement, and excellence.
Welcome everybody. I have been thinking that one of the greatest poems that has ever been written by a Dominican is our national anthem. Isle of beauty, Isle of splendor. But sometimes I wonder, are we really experiencing that beauty? Are we really absorbing that beauty? Do we celebrate that beauty, or does the beauty just pass away?
Mr. Matthew added that there are 3 points we need to be aware of, and they are building the beauty of Dominica through learning, through sharing, and through celebrating. In terms of learning, he explains why this course is necessary and how it is beneficial.
This is the greatest reason we have discussed this afternoon why you should attend this course. Because you don't know what there is to learn from the program. It works out that the individuals still did not come to do the training, but I'm sure participants, you understand how much that person has missed. And it reminds me of something that Harvey Ullman says, and I quote, "Anyone who stops learning is old, whether this happens at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps on learning not only remains young, but becomes constantly more valuable, regardless of physical capacity."
Professor Von James says that these 2 weeks have been wonderful and is very proud of his class.
Randy said it well. Now that we have this knowledge, permit me to be rude and to paraphrase Jesus the Christ and say, "Go ye therefore into your nation and teach all people these wonderful things that you have learned about international taxation and international relations." You see, tomorrow I leave you. Next Tuesday, I'll walk into another classroom. I'll start another international taxation class. I'll have 11 students, 2 more than I had with you. I'll have 11 students. I cap my classes at 12 up there. Down here, we'll take as many as possible. Up in the States, I cap at 12. So I'll have 11 students. They will go for an entire semester. They'll take 16 weeks to learn what you learned in 2 weeks. You guys are fantastic. Applaud yourself.
Professor James believes that Dominicans are capable of a lot and has the potential, as he advises, us to strive for the best and do not settle for anything less. A number of security officers are now better equipped to carry out their duties as they were present for a training workshop. The workshop, which took place on Sunday, August 19th, was organized by the manager of King's Garment, Mr. Petit Louis Asias, due to the increase of crime and violence, so the officers will have a clear understanding of what is expected of them when encountering these situations. The workshop, which was facilitated by Inspector Desmond Austri, was also to provide officers with the information on how to secure buildings, observe behaviors of suspicious workers and patrons across the environment, amongst others. Inspector Austri, who has been a police officer for the past 34 years, says, although security officers do not have the high authority as a police officer, they do have a very important task which must be respected by the public.
Imagine if there were no security guards, the chaos we would have in Dominica. Look on the streets. See the amount of idle people we have on the streets. Everybody is looking for cash, looking for something. Nobody wants to work. So you can imagine Astafans has his business place there where he sells food. No security guards are at Astafans. Can you imagine people just walking in to Astafans and taking things and going and nobody to stop them?
The inspector added that the only reason such things are not occurring is because of the presence of security guards. He advised the security officers to be alert at all times on the job while reminding them on the importance of wearing their uniform so their presence can be seen at all times, especially for would-be criminals.
You need to feed yourself properly. And feeding yourself properly doesn't say you have to go and eat the biggest fried chicken or barbecue or steak. Feeding yourself properly is making sure you get the correct nutrients for your body so that everything will be working as fine as an engine. Your mind is alert, your sight is good, your ears is good. Most of the functions or duties of the security officers is observation. And if you have a body which is not alert, which is not healthy, your observation span is going to be so short that...
Inspector Osh reminded the officers on how important it is for them to document their observations about the environment each day when attending and leaving work, which could prove vital in the event that an incident occurs.
Think like a criminal. The way you can catch criminals is to think like them. If somebody comes after you, what can you do to escape? And as I said before, no security guard who runs for his life is not a coward. Who's a coward? He is not a coward.
He said that although securities have a duty to protect the business they are assigned to, there are times when they will be faced with situations where they are overpowered, and it is during these life or death situations they must not try to be heroes, since they could be killed and their children left without a father. The inspector went on to advise the security guards to take their jobs very seriously. Parliamentary representative for the Roseau Central constituency, Mr. Norris Prevost, says the United Workers' Party UWP, along with himself, are worried about what they call is the high level of poverty in Dominica. Mr. Prevost says, and I quote, "Today Dominica has fallen back into the deepest poverty ever in our generation, and our people no longer feel proud to be Dominicans," end quote.
This is a school child's map of Dominica. And you can see the big parishes. You can see the big parishes. St. Joseph, 47% poverty. St. Paul, that's Mahomasak, 32%. St. Patrick, that's the Grand Bay area, 42%. St. David's, that's in the East Carib Territory, La Plaine, Daly Seas, 40%.
St. Andrew, that's Vegas to Marigot, 38%. When you look at these levels of poverty, these are things to be concerned about.
Mr. Prevost pointed out that when you have high levels of poverty in a country, it indicates the lack of employment, and agriculture in these belts have declined and continue to decline. He added that the 2012-2013 budget showed small statistics being reported by the government to show minimal growth in agriculture. However, the truth is agriculture is below the level that is required to bring Dominicans out of poverty.
Tourism continues to decline. I mean, it is contradictory for the government to agree and admit that the tourism visitors' arrivals has fallen significantly, and yet to try to tell us that tourism spending has grown by more than 25%. These figures do not mesh. I am not saying that there cannot be an increase in tourism spending, but when you face such a severe decline in arrivals, it is difficult to explain how spending could all of a sudden jump up by more than 25%. So we're in a situation here where the reality of life on the ground is that people are suffering, people are unemployed, parents are struggling right now to find the money for the school books, for the school fees, for the uniforms, and for the transportation.
Mr. Prevost says that when the United Workers' Party was in power, they had a successful free school books program, which had it been continued today, all school children would have gotten books from the government free of charge. He says everyday parents come to him pleading for assistance to send their children to school, since they do not get the help they need from the government.
We are in a situation where government is bringing out statistics that and trying to make itself look good, and we know that a lot of the results of the poverty assessment, which was done in 2008-2009, these results were affected by the fact that government just before the surveys gave a lot of handouts. When you get a handout from government, whether it's $500 or $600 or whatever it is, this is a one-time handout. It doesn't take you out of poverty. It stops a gap, but you remain poor until you get a job, until your family farm is back on track, until your small hotel or your small business is functioning.
Mr. Prevost pointed out that the UWP is pledging to significantly reduce poverty if it is given the opportunity to govern the country and is on a mission to rebuild Dominica. He added that the government is spending millions of dollars and investing in the areas which are not useful to Dominicans and they are not getting value for money, making special mention to the State House project, which Dominicans do not get the chance to gain employment on such projects.
I walk around the country, I drive around the country, and so many people, after speaking with them for a minute or two, their comment, first opportunity I get, I go in. That's how they say it. First opportunity, especially younger people. Mr. Prevost, first opportunity I get, I go in. In other words, there is not that love, that pride that used to be there when United Workers' Party was in office, where people were working and people were making money and people were feeling that there was opportunity. There was opportunity. They wanted to invest. They wanted to buy a dumper, buy a truck because there is work. These people have bought their trucks and their trucks are sitting there. When you go over Dominica, you see the number of trucks that are idle, the number of excavators that are idle, the number of backhoes that are idle, and yet there are projects going on, but most of the Dominican equipment are there sitting idle.
Mr. Prevost says, in order to grow Dominica's economy, the government needs to make significant investment in areas such as agriculture and tourism, which will attract private sector investments, which will then provide jobs for the unemployed persons, thus reducing poverty. Two drivers can consider themselves lucky after escaping a vehicular accident just before 2 p.m. on Monday, August 20th. The incident, which occurred on the Pottersville Highway in the vicinity of the Dominica Banana Producers Ltd. DBPL building on Goodwill Road, left two vehicles badly damaged. Reports are that a Toyota Grande Mark II registration number PN908 was traveling on the highway to Roseau when a Toyota Corolla registration number PC168, which was on the stop line in front of the DBPL building, moved out suddenly, colliding with the passing Toyota Grande Mark II. The driver of the car, registration number PN908, said that although he tried to avoid the collision, it happened so quick that there was nothing he could have done. The female driver of the Toyota Corolla was in the company of some children at the time of the accident, and one of the girls was seen crying as she was still in shock. Police officers from the traffic department arrived on the scene quickly and restored the flow of traffic while conducting their investigations into the incident. Further details on this incident is not available at this point. In related news, the Collier police is conducting investigations into a road traffic collision which occurred at the Dubla on Monday, August 20th at about 1:30 p.m. It involved ambulance registration number GA406 attached to the Portsmouth Health District and was driven by Fire Officer Gaius Sharpless. It was traveling from southerly direction to a northerly direction with a patient, Mr. Ferdinand Lamoff of Clifton. The vehicle ran off the road and collided into a concrete fence, causing injuries to the patient's leg and head. He was transported to the RFA hospital in Portsmouth, where he was treated for his injuries. The vehicle, however, was extensively damaged. Owner of the premises, Ms. Josepha Charles, says that she was on an errand when she received a phone call stating that the house cleaner almost lost her life, as well as the premises being damaged.
What happened? The girl that was cleaning for me called me up there, and somebody come to me and tell me, come and see what's happening to your wall, because there's an ambulance right inside in front of your gate. So I say, how ambulance? He said, it's because they mash up all your wall and everything like this. So I say, so he tell me, because I was up in St. Ticket, so he tell me, come and see, go down, because if you don't go down, the policeman is there and the ambulance is there, because they even take a man to the hospital. So go and see what's happening. But that is the third time they're doing that to me. That man had to take him to court, and up to now we haven't finished paying me.
She went on to give more information relating to the past incident which occurred at her premises.
It was a car going up to Portsmouth. The second time it was a bike that going into the wall. Now it's an ambulance. So really I'm not safe at my place there at all.
And what are you expecting to happen now?
I hope the government will do something about it, because at least it's their vehicle. And I hope they do something about it, because I'm just there stranded waiting. At least because she told me she was just going and collect some water. And she was so frightened she didn't even know what to do.
Okay.
Ms. Charles says what frustrates her the most is that she has to do the repairs from her own pocket, which is beyond unfair.
I had to do it from my own pocket, because the boy said to the man for the car, said to me he would fix it. When he put that piece of wall, you can see the wall which he put there for me, he finished. I had to take him to court again. And up to now, we are still waiting.
Entrepreneurs will have the opportunity to generate viable and creative ideas to assume new businesses in the cultural industry. The Dominica Youth Business Trust, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program, the Organization of American States, the Young America's Business Trust, and MASAV, which is Israel's Agency for International Development Cooperation, will conduct a very special business lab focusing on cultural enterprise. Chief Youth Development Officer Mr. Jules Pascal says that the youth division, they are focusing on developing enterprises to reduce the high levels of unemployment in Dominica.
Enterprise development is one of the ways in which we think, we believe, and we have seen throughout the years that we have been engaged in that sort of development. We have seen progress, we have seen that changes have taken place, and we have seen quite a number of young people have created opportunities for themselves.
This is the second year that they are having the lab. 31 participants took part last year with the focus on tourism and featured the Waitikobuli National Trail. The facilitators for the lab are Mr. David Sipler and Ms. Raina Yaf from MASAV. Mr. Sipler says One of the main techniques they will be using is covering canvas business models.
What we are going to do here in the following 5 days is not really to teach. We are going to work together and to learn from each other how to really do it. And it's not difficult techniques. It's actually a change in our own mindset. How can we really use what we have, what the environment gives us, in a methodological way to achieve the results we want to achieve.
OAS representative Mr. Michael Bios is happy to be part of the learning experience.
Mr. Gregory Rebess of the Division of Culture, Mr. David Sliper and Ms. Rina Yaffe from the Golda Meir Mount Carmel Training Institute, courtesy of Mashav, Mr. John Roach and the team from DYBT. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have the honor of addressing you in representation of the Organization of American States and the Young America's Business Trust, two of the partners that have collaborated along with the UNDP, Mashav, and the DYBT to bring this learning experience and opportunity to you today. The training you are about to receive has been the result of the dedicated collaboration and much effort on the part of the OAS, the YABT, United Nations Development Program, Mashav, and the DYBT. We are all working together to provide you with some of the tools that you will need to be a successful cultural industry entrepreneur.
Honorable Justina Charles, Minister for Culture, says that the fact the representatives of Mashav are here again is indicative of the success of last year's lab.
The report from the Dominica Youth Business Trust indicates that at least 21 of the 31 young entrepreneurs who participated in last year's business lab are in operation and made some progress in the development of their products, which can be attributed to the knowledge and skills gained from the business lab. This represents a 68% success rate over a 12-month period.
She hopes that the participants will take hold of the opportunity and learn how to make their business ideas a reality. The lab will run from August 20th to 24th at the Garrow Hotel from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. One Stock Farm family can say that God was looking over them as they narrowly escaped death when their house flipped over following heavy rainfall on the morning of Tuesday, August 21st. Owner of the home, Mr. Jerry Joseph, says that when he woke up at 7:30 p.m., he washed his clothes and then upon returning to the home, he felt the house moving, which immediately flipped over before his eyes. Mr. Joseph said although his 5 children were in the home at the time sleeping, they escaped from the rubble after the house came to a rest, but they did suffer minor scrapes and bruises.
I never expected that. I know the house is a house with a really shaken thing, but I know I didn't go and check to see what the water do below it, because when I wake up this morning, I noticed a heavy water coming from the road and running right through the yard. So apparently it must have undermined the back pillar. I went under there to open my clothes, but I didn't check the last pillar, so apparently it must have undermined the last pillar down there, so that's as a result, the house went down.
Mr. Joseph says at this point, he cannot put an estimate on his loss, but this incident does not augur well for him and his family. He says at this point, all he can do is rebuild the home again, but he's appealing for assistance so that he can get this done along with the help of his neighbors and fellow community members.
Well, yes, I'm a builder by profession. That's what I do for my life. So as long as I get help, I see myself back to normal.
4 of the children who suffered from the incident were transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital by fire and ambulance personnel for treatment as they were shocked by the incident, while the oldest, a 15-year-old son, stayed to help his father deal with the situation. The incident also attracted a number of onlookers who were sympathetic to Mr. Joseph for losing his home. Saturday kicked off the 2012-2013 football season with a soccerama at the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. Mr. Glenn Etienne, president of the Dominica Football Association (DFA), was very pleased with the number of teams present at the opening ceremony. Mr. Etienne is happy for the sponsorship that they have received and urging other sponsors to come on board to help raise the standard of football.
We know that sponsorship is very important if we are to run successful football league. In these hard economic times, sponsorship is hard to come by. All the more reason why we should have to cherish those we have on board. Players, you can assist us in securing sponsorship for our many leagues. You can do this by raising the standard of play and by displaying a high brand of attractive football.
He says in order to raise the standards, they must be prepared to work very hard to recommit themselves to developing a mind frame that will allow them to succeed.
If you are to become a better player, you must take responsibility for your overall development. This means that you have to do your own personal training and not rely on when your team is training. While others may be involved in other things, you should be involved in your football development. Find a time that is convenient to you and to do some work on your game. It will definitely pay dividend and you will be happy for it.
The only sponsor of the women's team is Dominica. The representative, Mr. Colin Cover, told the players that it is their opportunity to get onto the world stage, and if they can do it, it should give them the opportunity to unite their country.
So sports has the ability to unite a country where other things tend to divide. And if you don't get onto being a player for Dominica, you can help to unite your community. Your community comes behind you to watch you play, and they want you to excel. And as a player, you feel proud to represent your community.
Mr. Ray Cole, who represents Lime, says Lime is confident that Dominica has some great footballers and is pleased to be sponsoring their Premier League 2 years in a row.
So we're very pleased to be sponsoring the Premier League for the second time in a row. As you know, Lime is very committed to the community in regards to sports, especially because we find that most sports people at this point are developing, and they are in fact the next winners in Dominica, the next business leaders in Dominica. So it's very, very sensible for us to reach out, and we're honored to be able to get involved with these types of organizations.
The president of the DFA and representatives of Lime and Dominica met with the teams present at the opening ceremony. The Old Mill Cultural Center was filled with excitement as the public gathered on Saturday, August 18th for a jazz festival which was held to raise funds for the children with heart conditions. President of the Children Heart Fund, Dr. Rhonda McIntyre, says that this is a non-profit organization that provides financial treatment for their surgeries and related expenses. Dr. McIntyre gives further details about the jazz festival.
Yes, we are actually having a jazz concert, so it's called All That Jazz, and the concert is actually going to be on Saturday tonight at 8 p.m. It's our main performer is Atura Tapin from Barbados. He's a well-known jazz musician and his band, and we'll have other local artists playing as well. So all of this is in aid of the Children's Heart Fund, so all funds will go towards the fund.
She went on to say that the organization has had many fundraising events over the years. However, this is the first concert.
We've had many other fundraising events, but this is the first time we're actually having a concert. And we decided that it would probably be nice to have a jazz concert. We're trying to sort of do something different and to have people from different backgrounds and come in, because we figured jazz might interest a wide spectrum of a wide range of people, and we might get people from all ages, all backgrounds coming in.
Dr. McIntyre says her main expectation from the festival was to raise enough funds to prolong the children's lives. She added that there are 2 children in particular that needs help for surgery and other evaluations.
And, we have 2 kids we need to help over the next maybe year to fund their surgeries and or assist in going overseas to have surgery, or and many others to have evaluations. So we want to make as much as possible. We solicited the help from a number of partners, individuals, corporate citizens, and the response was really overwhelming. So we are looking forward to people coming out in large numbers, spending a lot of money on the bars, so we can realize our goal of making a tidy sum.
Dr. McIntyre says that it brings joy to her heart when she has looked back at the amount of children the organization has helped thus far. She mentioned that most of them are adults now and have recovered incredibly well.
We hope to have some kids who we've helped already, kids who probably would not have been alive today. Well, some of them are grown, and so it is a wonderful feeling to see these kids when they've all grown up. We have one who's in nursing school, we have people who, working adults, we have kids who are doing well and are thriving and growing. It's just a wonderful feeling.
And now this takes us to the end of our news package for the evening. Join us again tomorrow for another news package.